I welcome you into this quiet hour. I invite you to join me in a small, gentle pause. Come as you are. Lay down the weight of the day for a little while. I sit with a soft light low in the room. A Bible rests on my lap. Et blanket folds over my knees. The room breathes slowly. Outside. Evening moves in like a warm shadow. Inside. A hush settles. I let my shoulders fall away from my ears. I ease the tightness in my jaw. The body loosens, one small release at a time. I ask only for openness. Bring no list of tasks. Bring no need to fix everything before morning. Bring only a willingness to breathe and listen. I invite an open heart, calm and curious. I invite gentleness with whatever comes up. Tension may be present. Fear may sit near. That is okay. We do not sweep feelings away. We hold them kindly. Like fragile things, settle into a place that feels safe. A chair, a bed, a couch, a window seat with a night sky. I prefer a chair that supports the back. I lighten the lamp so the light feels like a small harbor. If you like, wrap a shawl or blanket around your shoulders. The touch should be simple and grounding. Let the hands rest easily. Let the feet find the floor, or let them tuck under the blanket. Find one small position that says, for now, it is okay to rest. I breathe with you. Breathe slow. In, hold, out. Each breath arrives and leaves. Notice the rhythm. Feel the cool of the inhale and the gentle warmth of the exhale. The breath keeps time without hurry. When thoughts come, I name them softly and let them pass. Like leaves on a quiet river. Do not chase them. Do not judge. Return to the breath. This is our simple practice before we listen. The world outside the window hums with its own life. I do not ignore it. I let it be part of the background. The important thing now is a small tilt inward, a quieting, a turning towards steadiness. The Bible on my lap is a familiar book. It is not a tool for argument at this hour. It is a companion for stillness. Through its pages, I am looking for mercy and hope. I am looking for rest. I tell you what I will do. I will read slowly. I will choose passages that ease the mind and open the heart. I will allow silence between phrases so the words can settle. I will keep a gentle tone. I will not rush. My goal is comfort, not instruction. I speak less than I used to in the day. I let the sentences breathe. The reading is a lullaby shaped by truth and tenderness. Imagine a lamp in a small room. The light is steady, not blinding. It shows the pages, and it shows the space around us. The light holds the dust motes suspended for a moment. The stillness is like that, simple, carrying ordinary things into gentle focus. The Bible's words live in that light. They soften edges and offer a steady presence. You do not have to grasp every phrase. Let the words touch the part of you that needs relief. Let them rest there. Sometimes, a single line will feel like a hand laid on a tired shoulder. Sometimes, a sentence will open a window in the chest and let a freer air come in. Sometimes, The silence between words is the most healing part. Trust whichever of these happens tonight. Healing often arrives in small surprises. Mercy often looks like an unremarkable calm. I do not preach. I simply read. My tone is patient and warm. I keep sentences short and clear so the room can absorb them. Slow pace is a promise. I read with long pauses. I let words hang like notes in the quiet. If your eyes close, that is welcome. If your mind wanders, that is welcome too. Rest is not a test. It is a gift that begins when we stop demanding of ourselves. I invite a posture of receiving. Turn gently towards the idea that you are welcome to rest here. It is safe to let go of performance. Mercy meets you in this simple letting go. Hope is not a far-off thing. It sits near, like a small lantern that does not need to be lit to exist. We notice it. We remember it together. If worry comes, I offer a small practice. Picture the worry as a pebble in your hand. Observe its shape. Notice its weight. Then find a still place and set it down. You do not have to carry it into sleep tonight. I place my worries gently away. The act of setting them down is a faithful quiet ritual. It makes room. I hold the Bible as a tender object. The cover is worn at the edges from hands that have come back again and again. That wear tells of many evenings like this. That is comforting. A record of return. The pages contain stories and promises that have comforted people in every human season. They breathe with lives lived and with nights of rest. For this hour, the book is less about knowledge and more about presence. As I prepare to read, I make a small intention. The intention is simple: to dwell in mercy and be traced by hope. I release the need to solve tonight what tomorrow may bring. Instead, I choose to receive what steadies the heart. I expect no immediate transformation. Healing in the evening is a slow work. It begins with rest and grows with mercy. Do not feel compelled to respond out loud. No words are required from you. Listening is enough. Sometimes presence is the deepest prayer. Let the rhythm of your breathing be your answer. Let the quiet ascent of your body be enough for now. I read for that shared silence, the place between us where the heart can soften. If thoughts about the day return, acknowledge them and let them return to their place. If a memory brings warmth, lean into it gently. If a memory brings pain, let the compassion of this hour cradle it. Mercy is not a quick fix. It is a steady companion that does not demand immediate change. Hope is a patient lamp that keeps burning even in slow nights. I picture a slow river at dusk. The surface is calm. Trees lean close, but do not touch. The river carries leaves and small things downstream without hurry. In the same way, let your breath carry small cares away. Notice how the river does not force the journey. It allows what it holds to move in its own time. This is our image for the evening. We do not force ourselves into rest. We welcome the rhythm that already exists. My voice will be a soft guide. The pace will be unbroken by rush. Between passages, I allow space for the evening to absorb what we hear. If tears come, accept them. If a small laugh surfaces, lead it All of this is part of the gentle work of unburdening. Nothing is wrong here. Everything is part of the mending. The lamp dimly lights the Bible. I place a finger at the page. There is a hush. My heart relaxes into the simplicity of this moment. I trust the words to speak what is needed. I trust this time to do its gentle work. The aim is not to teach. It is to soothe. The aim is to let Christ's mercy and hope rest close to the chest. Before I read, I invite a short pause. In that pause, I breathe 3 times with intention. Inhale calm. Hold for a moment. Exhale tension. Inhale mercy. Hold. Exhale fear. Inhale hope. Hold. Exhale and release. These breaths set the tone. They move the body into stillness. They let the heart say yes to this time. Now the room feels ready. The Bible waits. The lamp keeps its steady glow. The breath is slow and measured. The evening outside is a soft companion. The moment stretches, like a hand extended for comfort. When you are ready, allow your eyes to soften or gently close. Allow the posture to settle. Receive without doing. Listen without preparing answers. Tonight is a shelter. It is a voice that says, for now, you are safe to rest. The reading that follows will be slow and steady. Each sentence will accept you as you are. Each silence will hold what you bring. Mercy will brush the edges of worry. Hope will sit near like a quiet star. When I begin to read, I will do so with care. I will keep the pace even. I will pause often. I will let the words breathe into the room. Our time together will be unhurried. It will be kind. It will be small and enough. Now I close this invitation with a calm breath. The next breath will be the first gentle bridge into the reading. I rest my hand on the page and listen. The evening opens. The Bible offers its steady company. We begin. I rest my hand on the page and breathe with the room. The page is warm from the lamp. Outside the house, the world quiets down. Inside, a softer stillness grows. Tonight, the theme sits simple and near. Be still and know. I say it slowly. Be still and know that God is present. The phrase lands like a gentle footfall on a wooden floor. I read it no louder than a whisper. I let the words fold into the quiet. They do not demand clever answers. They only ask for attention. The instruction is small. Stillness is not an achievement. It is a space we step into. It is the chest slowing, the breath lengthening, the hands unclenching. I invite a pause. We take 3 slow breaths together. Inhale, hold. Exhale. The pause opens like a door. On the other side, presence waits without fuss. It is not a presence that rushes or panics. It comes like the steady timing of a heartbeat. It is near enough to be felt. Let the thought of God be a presence in the room, not a bright spotlight. Picture a companion who sits quietly at the edge of the chair. No performance is required, only simple attention. No long lists of demands, only the willingness to notice. In practice, this looks like softening. It looks like relaxing the jaw, letting shoulders drop, and allowing the eyes to rest half closed. Notice the difference between stillness and emptiness. Stillness holds things gently. It collects scattered pieces without forcing them to disappear. It permits memory, sadness, gratitude, and small relief to coexist. When worry comes, let it be a thing placed on the table. Observe it for a moment, then allow the table to hold it. The presence beside the chair does not fix every worry. It simply sits with it and breathes. I guide the listening with the phrase again, but quieter this time. Be still and know. The sense of knowing here is not knowing facts. It is an intimate recognition. It is the awareness of being accompanied. It is the sense that a steady hand rests somewhere near the heart. That awareness changes the shape of a night. It makes the darkness less like emptiness and more like a wide room with a single, calm light. I suggest a small exercise. Place one palm on the chest and the other on the belly. Feel the gentle rise and fall. Match the breath to a soft count. Inhale for 4. Hold for 2. Exhale for 6. Let the longer exhale be the part that loosens. With each out-breath, imagine tension draining into the floor. With each in-breath, imagine a quiet presence filling the ribs. The practice is physical and small. The effect is real. It slows the mind by asking the body to slow first. We do not chase theological complexity tonight. The aim is mercy and assurance. Let the mind step away from debates. Let it lean toward the simple fact of companionship. The Psalm's invitation is not a test of intellect. It is an invitation to rest in the knowledge that presence exists beyond the immediate rush. That knowledge settles like cool water on a warm day. I describe presence using a few gentle images so the mind can anchor. Picture a soft blanket folded over a chair. Think of a cup that warms the hands. Imagine a harbor buoy, billowing slightly, but holding steady in the tide. The images serve as reminders. They point towards steadiness, without insisting on precise details. Allow one chosen image to become a touchstone for the evening. Sometimes stillness feels fragile. Old anxieties might whisper that stillness invites more thinking, not less. When that happens, remember that stillness is a skill that grows by practice. It is like a muscle that learns to release. Return to the breath. Return to the hand on the chest. Return to the image of presence. Each return is a small victory. I read the line again, letting it fall into the listener's ear as if it were a lullaby. Be still and know. Draw the phrase inward as if it were a soft thread. Let it knit the scattered parts together. There is a calm intelligence in quiet. It knows how to carry sorrow without crushing it. It knows how to make room for hope, to take a breath. When the mind wanders, I give permission to notice and come back. Notice with kindness. Come back without reproach. That gentle loop of noticing and returning is the work of the night. Each return ties a new calm to the familiar ones. Or team. The returns become easier. The evening grows deeper. Allow a short silence here. Let the ears adjust to the small sounds in the room. The quiet hum of the heater, the distant car, the soft exhale of breath. These ordinary sounds remind us that the world continues, kind and indifferent. The difference for tonight is how it is held. Presence holds it, rather than being overwhelmed by it. I suggest lifting attention to the soft area behind the breastbone. Rest there like a child laying a head on a pillow. Sense the steadiness that lives in the mid-chest. Feel the rhythm that says you are alive and tended. If grief presses, place it on that chest like a fragile object. The presence does not take it away immediately. Instead, it keeps it safe while the body learns how to soften around it. Mercy is a quiet action here. It appears in small gestures, a thought that says, "It is okay to be tired." A conviction that says, "Rest does not mean failure." Hope shows itself slowly. It looks like the small expectation that morning will bring a new set of moments. It does not promise full solving. It promises company for the waiting. I invite a breath that tastes like gratitude. However small, name one small mercy from the day. It might be a warm cup held in cold hands, a conversation that did not hurt, a street light that cut the dark for a moment. Say the name silently. Let it be a pebble dropped into a still pond. Watch the ripples move outward. Gratitude loosens the clenched fist. It does not deny pain. It shifts attention toward what warmed. Now, I lead the attention to a prayer of silence. No words need render it. Instead, let the silence be a turning. Turn toward the sense of presence again. Imagine shoulders set beside yours. Imagine a gaze that does not judge, only sees. Stay there for a few breaths. Allow the body to take what it needs. The breath will mirror the presence. Let the rhythm slow. If sleep arrives, welcome it like an invited guest. Sleep is not an escape, but a gift. It completes the stillness. Let it come without guilt. If the eyes remain open, let them soften. Keep the posture relaxed. Adjust the blanket if needed. The room holds the body kindly. Before I close this part, I offer a small encouragement. If this time of reading and stillness brings relief, consider sharing it. Tell a friend. Leave a gentle note. Subscribe to the series. Small acts of sharing spread calm like quiet lamps placed in many rooms. The gesture is not performance. It is an offering. It helps someone else find a place to rest. I turn the page with care. The next passage will continue this shape. It will not rush into heavy doctrine. It will dwell on mercy, hope, and gentleness. The goal is to escort the heart towards sleep, not to win an argument. The voice will stay steady and soft. Now a closing breath. Inhale, calm. Hold, exhale and release. Let the phrase return one last time to settle the night. Be still and know. Feel the presence like a warm hand at the small of the back. Receive what is given quiet. Company. Mercy. Rest into that shape. When ready, let the eyes close. Let the house fold around this hour. I remain with the lamp for a moment. Then ease it down. The book rests. The presence lingers. We move towards sleep, on the tide of silence we have learned to hold. The next part waits. Prepare to continue this gentle journey. Good night for now. I fold the page down gently and draw the room a little closer. The lamp pools its light on the Bible. The house breathes with us. Tonight, a quiet work sits before us. It is the work of forgiveness. I speak slowly about it. My voice stays soft. I think of Ephesians 4:3-2 as an invitation. It asks for kindness, for compassion, and for the courage to forgive one another. It reminds us that forgiveness is born from the same mercy we receive. I do not press doctrine. I point to a simple truth. Forgiving soothes the heart. It loosens the tight places in the body that hold onto old hurt. Begin by naming gently. Ask yourself what needs letting go tonight. A small list is enough. Maybe one face. Maybe one word. Maybe a memory that keeps returning. Name it without argument. Say its shape in the mind and then set it down. The act of naming is not blame. It is honest attention. It brings what is buried into a room where light can touch it. Place a hand on the chest. Place another on the belly. Breathe slowly. Inhale for 4. Hold 2. Exhale 6. With each out-breath, imagine the named hurt loosening its grip a little. The body can follow the release. The breath helps the mind accept small change. Keep the sentences in your head short. Keep the images soft. Forgiving another does not erase memory. It does not ignore harm. Instead, it chooses a different relationship with the memory. Picture holding a rope tied to the memory. The rope is frayed and heavy. You do not have to carry it. Imagine setting it down on the floor of the room. Feel how the shoulders drop when the rope rests. Think of placing the rope beside a chair and sitting down. The choice to sit without the rope is a small, faithful gesture. If anger rises, observe it like a weather pattern. Let it blow across the room without forcing it away. Say to the feeling, silently, that it is noticed, then return to the breath. We do not hasten forgiveness as if it were a test. We practice it as a presence that grows by small acts of gentleness. Forgiving ourselves is often harder. Self-accusation can become a nightly litany. When the inner critic speaks, give it a quiet seat across the room. Listen once and let it be. Then turn toward a kinder witness. Imagine the compassionate voice of Christ speaking quietly nearby. The voice is not loud. It is steady. It reminds you that mistakes are part of learning. It offers a posture of care, not condemnation. Bring to mind one small thing you regret. Speak to it without dramatic words. Acknowledge the regret. Offer a short sentence of acceptance inwardly. Such as this is what happened, and I am willing to learn. The learning can live beside forgiveness. Forgiveness for self and learning from action are not enemies. They travel together like two hands holding a fragile object. I invite a simple ritual now. Take a small pebble or an imagined pebble. Hold it between thumb and finger. This pebble stands for the hurt, the memory, the regret. Feel its weight. When you are ready, place it into a shallow bowl beside you. Watch the pebble rest. The place in the bowl does not mean forgetting. It means giving the stone a steady place and letting your hands be free. If a face of someone who hurt you comes, Imagine them as someone tired at night. Do not condone harm. Do not pretend it did not matter. Instead, let the image of their tiredness soften the edge. This is not an excuse for abuse or ongoing harm. It is a practice that helps the heart uncoil when the danger has passed. Mercy does not make the world less safe. It simply makes the night less sharp for the one who carries it. Remember the phrase from earlier, be still and know. Let that stillness now hold the work of forgiveness. Stillness gives us space to change our relation to pain. In the quiet, the choice to forgive can be a small deed. It can be as quiet as a hand letting go of a tight knot. If bitterness tightens the chest, name its shape. Is it worry? Is it fear of repeating the hurt? Say it aloud in your mind, and then breathe toward it. Picture breath, like a gentle tide, moving around the place of pain. The tide does not wash the rock away instantly. It smooths edges over time. So too, forgiveness often smooths the sharpness gradually. I share a short breathing pattern to accompany this work. Inhale slowly for 4 counts, imagining compassion entering the chest. Hold gently for 2. Exhale for 6. Imagining the urge to punish or replay the hurt softening. Repeat this cycle 5 times. Each cycle is a small surrender. Each one lightens the load a touch. We do not rush the inner apology. If there is a need to make amends, and it is safe to do so, plan a gentle way in the morning. A brief message, a kind word, a change in behavior, all are practical ways to repair. If no amends are possible, place the intention to mend where it belongs in everyday choices. Repair often looks like a series of small, steady acts rather than a single dramatic gesture. Forgiveness for others can include the wish for their healing. It can include asking God to help them find peace. This is not a way to avoid responsibility. It is a way to release the role of judge overnight. The heart gets to rest. Let prayer be a silent handing over of judgment. Hand it to the presence we name as constant support. Rest does not mean apathy. Rest is a trust that justice and renewal happen beyond our weary power. If thoughts of revenge or rehashing replay, notice the pattern. Thoughts often demand action. The night asks for rest instead. Offer the thought, a small phrase, I see you. I release you tonight. Then return to the breath. Say the phrase as many times as needed. There is no shame in repeating the practice. Each repetition is a thread that binds the heart to gentler habits. Mercy softens the voice within. It shifts the tone from harsh to curious. Ask yourself small questions rather than pronounced sentences. What did I learn? What do I need to keep me from repeating harm? What would compassion ask of me tomorrow? These questions are lanterns. They guide without forcing swift answers. Throughout this practice, remember the steady fact of support. God's love here is not a distant idea. Picture it as a quiet light in the room. The light does not remove the darkness, but shows the objects in it with clearer edges. The presence watches without being shocked. It receives tears without counting them. That watching creates safety for the heart to try something new, like setting down a rope or placing a pebble in a bowl. I will not insist on quick absolution. Forgiveness sometimes arrives as a soft change in posture. Sometimes it comes as relief 3 days from now. Sometimes it rests in a memory that no longer has teeth. Accept small victories. A night where you release one blame is a good night. A night where you rest with gentleness is a good night. If shame returns, move the attention to one gentle fact: you are allowed to be human. You are allowed to call for help. You are allowed to change slowly. The presence that watches you also works with you. It does not demand a perfect ending. It walks the slow path of repair beside you. I will read a short line that reminds me of this practice. I do not aim for eloquence. I aim for calm. The line points us to kindness toward one another. Hear it like a small bell. Let it ring once and fade. Let the sound be a marker. Forgiveness is a practice of returning to gentleness. Now take 3 breaths with me. Inhale compassion. Hold. Exhale release. Inhale acceptance. Hold. Exhale shame. Inhale hope. Hold. Exhale and let go. If sleep comes, let it gather what you have placed down tonight. Sleep is a companion for the work of the heart. It helps the mind rehearse new ways of living. Do not feel hurried to finish forgiveness before the eyelids close. The night will keep the work and return it in the morning with fresh light. Before I close this part, I invite a simple closing image. See a small lamp set at the center of a round table. Around the table, place the names of the hurts you have set down. Leave the lamp burning. Let the names sit in the light. Contained. You do not carry them into the dark. The lamp will keep them visible and held. You can stand and walk away for a while. I lay my hand on the Bible. I breathe with a slow rhythm. The presence we called companion stays near. Mercy rests like a blanket over the shoulders. Hope sits like a soft cushion under the back. When you are ready, soften the eyes. Let the room draw around you. Let sleeping come as an invited guest. The next part will continue with tenderness, turning toward gratitude and rest. For now, sleep with a small piece of forgiveness tucked beside your heart. Good night for this moment. The lamp keeps its low circle of light. The Bible warms beneath my palm. I sit with the room like a hand holding a cup. Tonight, I move from the practice of letting go into the promise of rest. The promise is quiet. It is an open invitation. Matthew 1:1-2:8 points the way. The line calls the weary to come and find rest. I say it slowly, not as a demand, but as a soft door left ajar. I remember a family hurt that stayed too long in my chest. It begins small, then it grows into a habit. A late Christmas. Amistgol. A cutting remark that echoes on nights when sleep is thin. The memory becomes a stone in the pocket. It makes every step heavier. Over time, the stone changes how I hold myself. The shoulders round. The breath shortens. The heart learns a guarded rhythm. There is a night I decide to practice what I have been reading. I place a pebble on the palm as I taught you before. This one stands for a particular grievance. It has a name. The name sits on the pebble like a label. I look at it without theatrics, not to deny the pain, not to justify it away, simply to see it plainly under the lamp. When forgiveness begins, it does so in small moves. First, I tell the story to myself with fewer adjectives. I remove the sharp words that keep the wound raw. I notice what I feel. I invite the memory into the room, rather than banishing it to the dark. That single change shifts the shape of the night. Holding a memory up to the light takes away some of its power to surprise and sting. I picture the invitation of Matthew 1:1-8 as an open bench beneath a tree. The bench does not command. It only offers a place to set down a load. The image helps. It is simple. It is steady. I imagine walking across the yard with the stone in my pocket. With each step I breathe in slowly and think of the bench. I let the breath be the movement that brings me forward. When I reach the bench, I set the pebble down. The act is small and plain. It is not a dismissal of truth. It is a shift in responsibility. The burden I carry does not vanish into air. It moves into a place I trust. Trust is not a perfect solution. It is a posture that says, for tonight, I will not bear this alone. As I sit on the bench, I picture the family member, not as an enemy, but as a person shaped by their own pains. This does not excuse harm. It simply opens the possibility that both of us are broken in different ways. Seeing that does not take the sting away immediately. It softens the corner where anger liked to live. It makes space for something else to be true, something gentler. Forgiveness, in practice, looks like choosing to stop rehearsing the event. It looks like a refusal to turn the evening into a replay. Instead of turning the mind toward what was said or done, it turns toward what keeps the heart safe. Now, the mind still remembers. The heart learns a new posture. That new posture begins with rest. I breathe with the image of the bench. Inhale, hold, exhale. Each out-breath loosens the grip on the pebble, a fraction. The body follows the mind's permission to be lighter. The shoulders drop. The jaw unclenches. That physical release is a small proof that change is possible. It may feel fragile. It may be temporary. That is okay. Small changes are real. Some nights, the memory returns with a sharper tone. When it does, I do not shame myself. I name the return and place it back beside the pebble. I remind myself that rest is available, even when the mind is restless. The promise in Matthew 1:1-8 is not conditioned on calm feelings. It is offered to the weary as they are. That is a relief. The weariness is not a failure. It is the threshold for receiving rest. I keep the practice simple. I do not force a long prayer of eloquence. I speak a brief inner sentence. I bring this here. I leave it with the good hands that watch. The sentence is short and quiet. It is enough. The act of handing over helps. It turns moral labor into a gentle ritual. There are practical gestures that help the heart learn the language of rest. A folded note placed under the lamp, a pebble in a small bowl, a marked page in the Bible, where the words feel like a breath. On that page I write a short reminder, come and rest. I do not bind myself to a grand gesture. The night rewards small faithfulness. Rest sometimes arrives as a change in sensation, a warmth under the skin, a steadying in the belly, a less urgent thrum behind the eyes. I notice when these things shift, I allow the body to receive what is offered. The mind does not have to prove that the rest is deserved. The promise stands independent of merit. It is an invitation before performance. I recall a morning not long after that night by the bench. Sleep had been deeper than usual. I woke with a quiet in the chest I had not felt in months. The pebble sat in the bowl on the bedside table. Its presence no longer shouted. It was simply there. Held, I made coffee with steady hands. The small piece of that morning tastes like bread and warm tea. It is a modest miracle, but it matters. Offering rest to oneself also means allowing reparation to take its time. Forgiveness need not be declared with a dramatic conversation. Sometimes it shows up in changed behavior over weeks, a more patient tone, a refusal to replay the old story, a choice to act gently in moments where old habits would have flared. These are the footprints of true rest. The heart heals alongside these tiny acts. I do not pretend the road is always straight. There are setbacks. An anniversary of the hurt brings a pull. A holiday triggers the memory again. When the ache returns, I come back to the bench. I set the pebble down once more. The repetition is not failure. It is rhythm. The promise of Matthew 1:1-8 holds through the return visits. The invitation remains after each step back. When I read the passage softly, I shape it as a tender call. The voice in the room is low and steady. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. These words place no condition on the kind of burden. They name exhaustion and offer a hand. Hearing them in the dark is like feeling a sleeve laid across a shoulder. There is a pause in which I listen. The room keeps its gentle noises. The rain sometimes taps the window like a metronome. I let the pause stretch. In that silence, the promise settles like a blanket. No argument is necessary. The night simply receives the invitation as an available thing. I guide the breathing again and invite you to join. Inhale slowly for 4. Hold gently for 2. Exhale for 6. Imagining the weight moving into the bench beside you. With each cycle, the chest feels less like a clenched fist and more like a resting palm. Keep the sentences in your mind short. Keep the images calm. If the family member in your life remains distant or the hurt still burns, do not rush toward a forced reconciliation. Safety matters. Rest can exist even while boundaries remain. The bench is not a summons to return to danger. It is an offer to stop carrying pain in private. You can set the stone down while keeping wise limits in the day. I picture the lamp at the center of the room again. Around it, the pebbles we have set down rest in their bowls. The lamp does not remove their names. It simply holds them. The light keeps everything visible and contained. That containment is a form of rest. It says that the heart has made a small plan for holding pain and not letting it run wild. As I close this part of the evening, I place my hand back on the Bible. My fingers rest on the page that reminds me of rest. I breathe with the room. The promise of Matthew 1:1-8 stays like a steady beat. The bench under the tree waits. The pebble in the bowl holds its small weight. Mercy and rest meet here without drama. If sleep comes now, welcome it. Let it gather up the care you have set down. If the eyes remain open, allow the posture to soften. Keep the lamp low. Keep the breath even. Rest is given, not earned. Receive it as a guest receives a kind hand extended before the light goes down for the night. I invite one last breath together. Inhale, calm. Hold. Exhale, release. Inhale the promise of rest. Hold. Exhale and settle. Leave the pebble where it rests. Walk slowly toward the quiet. The next part will continue in the same gentle spirit. For now, sleep with the small assurance that burdens can be placed down and that rest waits for the weary. Good night. For this hour, I sit with a book open and feel the weight of the evening move gently into the room. The lamp throws a small circle of light across the page. My thumb keeps the place. The house breathes. I speak in a voice that stays low. Tonight I hold a single promise in my hands. It sits in a short line that many have returned to when hope runs thin. The line tells me that grace is not a partial thing. It is sufficient. The thought eases the ribs in a way nothing else can. I remember a time when weakness felt like failure. It arrived slow. It arrived like a dull ache in the same place each night. Work had been long. Sleep had been short. Care for others used up the best of the energy. I prayed in simple words. I kept asking for change. The answer did not come as a sudden fix. It came as a presence that met me where I was. The hands that held me did not require a better version. They asked only for honesty. That honesty felt like relief. Grace feels like a small room with a steady lamp. It does not demand a new coat of paint. It receives the person who is damp from rain. It is not embarrassed by cracks. It shows up where the heart is raw. The Bible calls attention to a curious thing. Strength appears in the middle of weakness. The power that holds does not work by taking away fragility. It works by filling it. The picture is simple. A vessel with a crack will still hold light. If light pours in, the brokenness becomes a place where light gathers. I invite a gentle pause. Place one hand upon the chest. Place the other upon the belly. Feel the rise and fall. Breathe slowly. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. With each breath, imagine a soft light entering through the collarbone. Imagine it spreading like warm oil down into the ribs. The light does not fix everything at once. It simply stays. If the eyes feel heavy, let them rest. If the mind worries, let thought drift like a small boat on a wide river. The practice is not hard. It is patient. There is a small truth that comforts me again and again. I do not need to be enough on my own. The task of carrying the whole day is not mine to bear alone. That thought lifts something heavy from the shoulders. It is a permission to be human. Weakness is not a sign of deficiency. It is often the place where tenderness takes root. The night invites this tenderness to sit beside the bed and keep watch. Think of a gardener who tends to an old tree. The tree is scarred. Branches are missing. New shoots push in surprising places. The gardener does not abandon the tree because it is not perfect. Instead, hands move slowly to feed the soil and water the roots. Grace is like that care. It is not flashy. It is steady. It comes in small measures that add up over time. When life feels thin, these small measures are enough to hold what is fragile. I read the line quietly. I do not read to solve. I read to steady. My voice is patient. It gives the sentence room to land. The words are not a reprimand. They are invitation. They do not shame the worn. They call the worn to a place of rest. You may receive the line as a soft anchor. Let it catch in the heart like a small hook. Let it hold you while the tide of the day eases. Sometimes grace arrives as a practical thing. A friend calls in the middle of the afternoon with a simple offer, pick up dinner. A neighbor waters the plant when travel keeps you away. A letter arrives that says, I see you. These small gestures are lace that the world uses to mend what is torn. They are not grand. They are faithful. They remind the soul that care is a network, not a single lamp. Other times grace arrives as a change in inner tone. The critic in the head softens. The list in the mind grows shorter. There is less urgency to fix everything before morning. The relief is quiet. It does not come with fireworks. It comes as a release. The chest moves from a clenched fist into an open palm. The palm can hold more than the fist because it does not strain. I ask for a soft exercise of attention. Name one small place of weakness tonight. Make the name brief. Say it slowly in the mind. Now imagine placing that name on a small stone. Feel the stone's weight. Turn it gently in the fingers. Then set it in a shallow bowl beside the lamp. The bowl is not a dumping ground. It is a resting place. The act of setting the stone down changes the work from carrying to holding. The hands can be free while the stone remains cared for. Grace often works like this turning. It takes the heavy and makes room for rest. It does not remove the memory. It changes the relationship to the memory. The mind stops rehearsing ways the past could have been different. The heart learns to breathe around the sting. That learning is slow. It is patient. It belongs to nights and mornings alike. I keep the sentences short now. They are small bridges back to calm. The power that rests in weakness is not obvious to the proud. It slips into small cracks in the armor. It is like a tide that enters a harbor unseen. It lifts the boats without requiring that they be perfect. The work is gentle. It is steadfast. It surprises by being sufficient. If the thought comes that grace is not enough, notice it kindly. That thought is allowed. It lives, like a sparrow, in the rafters of the mind. Invite the thought down. Offer a breath. Say nothing dramatic. Let the quiet replace argument. The room does not need to solve every cognitive battle tonight. It only needs to provide a place where the heart can rest long enough for a new habit of trust to take hold. I imagine a quilt made from many small patches. Some patches are bright, some are faded. The quilt continues to keep a body warm. Grace stitches the pieces together. It does not ask for perfect fabric. It uses the stitches to hold what is present. This image helps when the night feels like a list of deficits. The quilt is enough. It warms. It shelters. It is not ashamed of its seams. There is comfort in small practices that make this idea real. A quiet prayer of admission. A breath that names both weakness and welcome. A short sentence said inwardly, I am not alone in this. These tiny rituals are not a performance. They are doors that open to ordinary things. They let help in. They let mercy sit at the table. They let sleep approach without as much fear. I look at the Bible on my lap and feel gratitude for the line that has become a refuge. The passage does not promise that trials will vanish. It promises a presence that suffices within them. That presence does not erase the ache. It changes the ache's place in the body. The pain becomes part of a larger pattern of care. It is still real. It is not in charge. For those who have carried long seasons of sorrow, this word comes as a slow friend. It does not rush, understanding. It offers company. It sits beside the bed and watches the hour pass. The company does not lecture. It waters the roots. It keeps the lamp lit in the small room where the heart rests. If sleep arrives mid-practice, let it come. Sleep is not escape. It is a medicine. It allows the mind to rehearse new patterns in a quiet laboratory of dreams. If wakefulness remains, keep the hand on the chest. Keep breathing. Keep the stone in the bowl. The rhythm of attention will steady the night. I take a moment to pray in the quiet way. I often do, not with long arguments, not with flash. A simple handing over, a soft petition, that the grace which is sufficient touch what is most worn. I do not demand answers. I ask for presence. The petition sits like a candle under a glass. It burns steady. The lamp dims slowly in the picture I hold. The house folds into deeper hush. My thumb stays at the page. The idea of sufficient grace sits like a small anchor. It steadies the inner tide. It makes room for sleep that feels safe enough to enter. Before I close the page, I invite one last slow breathing pattern. Inhale slowly for 4. Hold briefly. Exhale for 6. Imagining the grace entering the chest like a warm tide. Repeat 3 times. With each cycle, notice the loosened weight. Notice how the shoulders rest a fraction lower. Notice how the jaw unclenches. I lay the Bible down with care. The cover closes like a soft hand. The lamp keeps a gentle glow for a moment more. The promise that grace is sufficient remains. It is not a loud trumpet. It is a quiet harbor. It meets the heart in its weakness and proves itself enough for the night. When the eyes finally soften, let the room carry what the hands have placed down. The bowl holds the stones. The lamp holds the light. The presence holds the weary. Rest into that keeping. I will remain a quiet reader for a while longer, and the next passage will continue in the same slow and tender spirit. For now, sleep into the sufficiency of grace. Good night for this part of the journey. I keep the lamp low and turn a page. The verse for tonight rests where my thumb finds it. Isaiah 2:6-3 comes into the room like a soft, steady promise. I read it slowly. You keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you. The words land like a quiet bell. Trust is small in daily shape. It looks like a steady heartbeat when the night feels long. It looks like a hand set on a shoulder that does not tighten. Trust is not a sudden, dramatic act. It is a choice repeated in many small ways. It is a habit of returning the mind to a single hinge point. That hinge is the promise that the presence is near. Tonight the thought is simple. Perfect peace follows steadiness of mind. The steady mind trusts. Trust does not mean pretending that everything is fixed. It means choosing a resting place for worry. The place for rest is not a method. It is a person. That person holds the evening with hands that do not leave. We breathe together and make room for the idea. Place one hand on the breastbone. Place the other low on the belly. Breathe slow. In for 4. Hold for a quiet beat. Out for 6. The out-breath softens the tight places. The in-breath invites a calm presence in. Keep the sentences in your head short. The body hears the breath first. The mind follows. I tell a small story. It is a night I keep returning to. The memory is not loud. It is muted, like a lamp behind a curtain. A car rides a long highway in winter. Snow falls steady. Not dramatic. The road narrows into a ribbon. A tire slips. The car settles into a soft shoulder. The phone dies. No signal. The other driver is a tired stranger. There is a child asleep in the back seat. The clock on the dashboard reads late. There is a kind of panic that arrives like cold at the edges. Plans seem brittle. The future narrows to this single hour. The instinct is to make 100 calls. The hands want to fix what is broken. Instead, I pull the Bible from the glove box. The cover is creased. A small light from the dome lamp makes the print gentle. Isaiah sits open where a thumb can find it. I read quietly, not to find a clever answer, but to steady a voice. The verse acts like a brace. It does not make the tires stick to the road. It does not warm the fingers all at once, but it calms the mind. The chest eases a fraction. The breath lengthens. Trust is chosen in a small motion. It is chosen by placing the finger on a line of scripture and allowing the meaning to descend slowly. A car pulls over behind us. A man steps out with gloves and a calm face. He offers help without ceremony. No questions at once. No moralizing. He hands a blanket to the child and sets up a cone of light with his phone. There is a practical kindness that looks like grace. The help could be coincidence. It could be worldly compassion. It holds the heart gently while the engine is coaxed back to life. The inner voice learns what the Bible already suggested: steady minds, anchored by trust, find a different kind of peace. The peace is not a moment without friction. The radiator still smells like cold. The tires still need repair. The evening still asks for practical choices, but the shoulders are knit a little. The mind stops rehearsing worst-case scenarios in loud, frantic loops. Trust reroutes the thought. It places the worry in a hand that can be gentle. This is how peace arrives in ordinary trouble, not by erasing need, but by offering a resting place for the need. After that night, the trust grows less fragile. Each small incident that might have made the heart clamp now meets a quieter response. The practice is not perfect. There are wakes of anxiety that return. When they come, the hand goes back to the book. The breath relearns the slow count. Trust is repeated as a soft discipline. It becomes less a rare dare and more a posture for the night. Isaiah 2:6-3 helps with an image. Think of a lake at dawn. The surface is glass. The mind sometimes throws stones into the water. The ripples widen and multiply. Trust is sitting on the shore with a small lantern and a thin. steady rope. The rope is not used to stop the stones. It is there so that the person on the shore can reach back to the heart and steady it. The lamp does not stop every movement on the water. It shows that there is a place to return. I give a gentle exercise. Imagine a tight circle inside the chest. Label it worry for tonight. See its edge. Breathe toward it. On the in-breath, imagine light entering the circle. On the out-breath, imagine the circle growing a hair wider. Do this 5 times. The breath and the image together tell the body that containment is possible. The mind can hold more. Peace widens the container. Trust also looks like remembering mercy received. Think of one small kindness from the day. The cup someone handed across a counter. A text that read simply, "Thinking of you." A small parking spot that saved a hurried step. Say the thing quietly. Let it be a thread. The memory is not a magic trick that erases struggle. It is a reminder that help exists and that help is often nearby. If doubt arrives, a sharp, persistent guest, notice it without arguing. Doubt can be acknowledged, like a name on a list. Give it 1 line, then return to the breath. The aim is not to prove the doubt wrong. The aim is to put the doubt in a room where it can be held without being in command. Trust is not a false bravado. It is an honest orientation that says, "Tonight, I will rest my mind on what steadies." There is a practice for the hands. Keep a small object near the bed. It can be a smooth stone, a worn coin, a small cross, or a folded note. When the night becomes a busy meeting of fears, hold the object, feel its edges. Let the fingers count its texture slowly. With each count, say a short phrase in your head. Steady mind, trust, peace. The repetition is not liturgy in the heavy sense. It is a simple anchor for attention. Trust grows when surrendered rather than forced. Some nights, the mind wants to fix everything before sleep. It makes lists and seeks resolutions. Those nights are tired work. Instead, choose 1 act of surrender. It can be placing a folded list under the Bible. It can be naming 3 things that will be tended tomorrow. It can be a 1-sentence prayer that gives the problem to the presence you trust. The act is small. The heart is invited to let go if rest resists. Return to a short reading. Read a single verse slowly 3 times. Let each repeat, settle farther in. The first time, let the words be heard. The second time, let the words feel. The third time, let the words be breathed. This slow repetition is not mechanical. It is a way to translate thought into a rhythm the body understands. Rhythm calms the nervous system. It invites sleep. When the night is long and the reasons for anxiety are many, trust is not a one-time decision. It is a household of small practices. Breath work, a fixed object, a lamp with low light, a repeated verse, a short list placed under a page in the Bible. Each item is a piece of furniture in a room where the mind can sit down. Over time, the room becomes livable. Grace appears quietly here. It arrives as someone who shows up without announcement. It shows in practical help. It shows in changed breathing. It shows in a mind that learns how to come back to steadiness. Grace does not always look miraculous. Often, it looks like the patient work of returning to a promise. I offer a brief, steady closing exercise. Breathe in for 4. Hold for 2. Exhale for 6. Picture trust as a thin string from the center of the chest to a fixed point beyond the head. With each exhale, imagine that string holding steady. Let the shoulders rest into the support. Let the jaw soften. Repeat 3 times. Now, with quiet hands, place the small object by the Bible. Lay the list, if there is one, beneath the page. If sleep comes, welcome it like a gentle guest. If the eyes remain open, keep the posture relaxed. Trust is present regardless of how quickly sleep arrives. It is a companion that does not demand proof. Before closing the page, I read the verse once more. Slowly, you keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you. Let the phrase sit like a pillow. Let the mind find a single soft spot in the words. Rest there. The lamp lowers its light a fraction. The room breathes with this rhythm we have practiced. The Bible rests where it will be found again. The promise of peace keeps its place. We do not leave the night as if it has been solved. We leave it with a steady companion. For now, trust holds. Peace comes as a quiet guest. Sleep may follow. If it does not, the lamp stays low and the breath continues. I will stay for a while longer on the next pages. The reading will keep its slow pace. The aim is always the same, to steady the mind and invite rest. Place your hand on your chest again if it helps. Breathe with the rhythm. Let trust be the small path you walk tonight. Good night for this hour. The lamp stays low. The Bible rests on my lap. I draw the page toward the light and breathe with the room. Tonight the verse is soft and carrying. I read it slowly. Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. The sentence lands like a quiet step. Hope is a small thing in the dark. It is not fireworks. It is a steady pulse. It does not always shout. It keeps time. The promise of renewal is not a quick fix. It is a steady work. It happens in the same slow rhythm that brings sleep. I remember a long season of weariness. Work stretched thin across months. Nights felt like thin blankets that offered little warmth. The body learned to hold tension as if it were a useful tool. The mind ran lists that never ended. One evening, a friend placed a quiet hand on my shoulder and said nothing but sat. The gesture did not solve a problem. It simply kept me company. Over time, the presence of that quietness changed the shape of fatigue. Strength returned in small pulses, shorter sighs. A laugh that came easier. A morning when the feet wanted to stand. Renewal arrived as a soft series of small recoveries, rather than one dramatic cure. Isaiah's promise uses an image worth holding. Think of an eagle. I picture it in the still of dawn. The bird waits. Wings are not tense. They fold with quiet control. Then the wind arrives. The eagle lifts. Not by frantic flapping, but by choosing the right breeze. The sky meets it where it is. Strength rises from the air. The bird does not force the lift. It meets the wind and is carried. Hope works like that. It does not stockpile energy. It aligns with a higher current and finds new height. Bring a hand to the chest and a hand to the belly. Breathe with me. Inhale, slow for 5 counts. Hold for 3. Exhale for 7. Let the out-breath be longer than the in. Picture breath as wind under wings. With each inhale, feel a little fresh air gather beneath the ribs. With each exhale, let a small heaviness slide away. Repeat the cycle 5 times. The rhythm trains the body to accept small replenishment. It makes room for the kind of calm that renews. Hope often looks like waiting. Waiting does not mean doing nothing. It means choosing patience in action or in rest. It can be a careful step, a small repair, a decision to sleep instead of solving one more problem. Waiting with hope trusts that the night does not have the last word. It trusts that morning will bring a different light. The trust is gentle. It does not demand proof. Sometimes renewal comes through unexpected rests, a nap that repairs the edges of a long afternoon, a warm cup poured slowly, a neighbor's quiet kindness. These small interruptions of strain are not indulgence. They are medicine. They become the channels through which strength returns. The body is practical that way. It answers small mercies more often than dramatic cures. If doubt presses, notice it without wrestling. Name the feeling briefly tired, anxious, worn. Let the word be a pebble you place on the table. Then return to the breath and the image of the eagle. Doubt is allowed. It can sit beside hope without taking command. Hope does not require the elimination of doubt. It asks for a small tether, a steady practice to come back to. A short practice can help. Close the eyes gently or soften the gaze. Picture a place where the wind is mild and steady. Imagine standing there with a light shawl around the shoulders. Feel the wind pick at the shawl's edge. In the mind's eye, lift the face to the breeze. It brushes the skin. Imagine the feeling moving inward, filling the chest spaces that feel tight. With every breath, gather the wind like a folded wing. Small by small, allow the chest to become less heavy. This is not a rush. It is a patient gleaning. Hope sometimes asks for practical boundaries. If obligations drain energy at night, choose one small boundary, a brief no, a short delay, a plan to tend a task in the morning rather than now. Boundaries are not walls of coldness. They are fences that keep the tired parts safe until strength returns. Hope is a patient steward. It protects what is fragile. The promise of renewal has a moral tenderness. It says that weakness is not the end of the story. It allows the wounded to be given new purpose. Imagine a field in early spring. The soil seems exhausted after winter. Then the sun returns a little each day. Rain arrives in its small measures. Plants start again. Not with dramatic leaps, but with steady green. Renewal in the human heart often looks like that slow green returning. It is patient and unshowy. It is keeping the small tasks and letting the bigger things heal slowly. If a hand can reach out tonight, take it. If not, reach inwards. Lay the palm where the chest feels heavy. Say a short sentence in the mind, renew my strength. Do not worry about finding perfect words. Keep it plain and soft. The act of asking is itself a movement toward hope. The phrase is a small bridge. There is also a communal shape to hope. Strength is often renewed in company. A friend sitting across the room. A neighbor checking in. The steady presence of a child's soft breathing. When the body is tired, company that asks nothing is a gift. It is okay to receive. Allowing hands to hold what aches is not weakness. It is honesty. The body and mind mend faster when they are known. Mercy and hope travel together. Mercy is the soil that allows hope to grow. It meets the reality of weariness without scolding. It says, rest here for a while. Hope enters that resting place and brings a different kind of courage. The courage does not roar. It lifts quietly. It steadies small motions and helps the heart try again tomorrow. If the night brings dreams that replay old strains, do not fight them. Notice the return and return the attention to breath. Each return is a small repetition of hope. The mind learns the path by coming back again and again. Repetition is not failure. It is training. A quiet practice that renews strength becomes possible with gentle, steady repetition. I keep the sentences short now because the room wants it. The heart responds best to simple sound. The Bible's line sits like a small lamp on the lap. Let it be enough. Let the image of lifted wings rest in the mind. Let the slow breaths gather the wind and hold it there. Renewal attends to small openings. It does not demand a perfect performance from the tired one. Before closing this part, fold a small intention. Choose one small thing to try tomorrow that might be gentler. It can be a short walk, an extra cup of tea, an early bedtime. It can be a brief moment to speak a kind sentence to oneself. Write that intention on a small scrap, or keep it in the mind like a pebble in a pocket. Intentions are not demands. They are tender directions. I will read the verse once more. Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. Hear it not as a promise of a sudden fix. Hear it as an invitation to steady waiting. Hear it as a hand that meets the weary and lifts them by small measures. The promise stays patient and true. Make 3 slow breaths with me. Inhale for 5. Hold for 3. Exhale for 7. Imagine breath as wind under wings. Feel the chest soften a fraction. Let the shoulders fall. Let the jaw unclench. Allow sleep to come, if it will. If the eyes remain open, keep the posture calm. I lay my hand on the Bible, then lift it and close the cover with care. The lamp keeps its glow a moment longer. The room feels steadier. The hope we named sits like a quiet guest under the roof. It will keep company through the night and rise quietly with the morning. For now, rest into the small renewal promised. Sleep if it comes. If it does not, stay with the breath and the image of wings until the body finds its own strength again. When the lamps go lower, the next part waits. I will read on with the same steady pace. For tonight, lean into the promise. Let hope be the wind that meets the wings. Good night for this hour. The lamp keeps its small circle. The Bible rests warm where my hand folds the page. The house breathes in soft rhythms. Tonight, I bring a single line with me. Hebrews 1:3-8 sits like a lantern on the page. I read it slowly and let it fall into the room. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, and today, and forever. I say it once, then again, and the phrase becomes a slow tide. That steadiness is a quiet comfort. Change surrounds the house. Days shift shape. Bodies age. Plans bend and break. The world carries a steady whisper of surprise into that moving scene. The unchanging nature of Christ is like a deep-rooted tree at the edge of a field. Winds whip the branches. Leaves scatter. The trunk stays planted. The tree does not promise the same leaves or the same weather. It simply holds the place where life can return. I tell a small memory that fits this truth. Years ago on a long night train, the carriage rocked through miles of dark. Stations came and went like faint blinks. Schleppfeld elusive. A pocket Bible pressed into my bag felt heavier than usual, only because it bore the weight of habit. At some point, a page fell open, and my thumb rested on a verse that had held me before. Reading it did not fix the journey. It did not stop the sway of the car or mend the sleeplessness. What it did was steady an inner pulse. The heart found a rhythm to return to. That steady rhythm was a source of gentle energy the next morning. It was not sudden. It was a slow replenishing. This is the kind of renewal Hebrews points toward. The unchanging presence gives permission to rest. From that rest, small strength returns. It does not always look like a dramatic surge. It comes like a morning that feels lighter than the night. It comes as a small clarity at the edge of worry. The steadiness is a place to lean when limbs feel tired and thoughts are thin. Hold that image for a moment. Imagine a lighthouse on a low cliff. Storms circle the coast. Waves hit the rocks hard. The lighthouse does not extinguish the sea. It simply keeps its light. Boats find a mark. The sailors do not change the ocean. They use the light to navigate it. So the soul uses the unchanging presence to navigate change. The light gives a dependable reference point. That reference point renews energy because it removes the frantic searching for something fixed. Place a hand on the chest. Place the other over the belly. Breathe slowly. Inhale for 4. Hold for 2. Exhale for 6. Each breath is a small proof that something steady lives in the present moment. With the in-breath, imagine a quiet pulse under the breastbone. With the out-breath, imagine that pulse widening slightly. Do this 5 times. Let the ribs soften a touch with each exhale. The body answers the steady thought with physical calm. Calm becomes fuel. Constancy does not erase difficulty. It does not promise a life without loss. Rather, it promises a steady companion through the losses. That companion holds attention for the small, everyday repairs a tired life requires. When strength is renewed, it often arrives in habits, a short walk that becomes regular, sleep that deepens, a fraction, a softening of the voice toward oneself. These are not grand feats. They are small acts of replenishment. They add up. Think of a well that fills slowly. The first draw is cautious. The water is cool and enough. Each later draw is easier because the source refills itself between uses. The unchanging nature of Christ is like that well, the promise that He is the same gives permission to draw at night and expect that the source will still be there in the morning. The comfort is practical. A weary hand can rest with a certain confidence. There is an active gentleness in this steadiness. It invites small rituals that make the promise felt. One simple act is placing a thumb on the Bible's spine and tracing the cover's worn edge. The touch connects memory to present sensation. Another is repeating the verse softly 3 times with the breath. Say the lines slowly on the in-breath. Hold it in the quiet of the hold. Release it on the out-breath. The repetition is not magic. It is a slow retraining of attention. The mind learns a place to return to when worry obliges it to walk a long night. I keep sentences short now because the ears favor such rhythms. The mind does too. There is a kind of energy released when the inner critic shuts for a while. Small sentences free up the chest. Gentle words unhook the jaw. The unchanging nature being present gives the body permission to let go, to lower the guard. From that lowering, energy comes back, often without notice. It arrives as steadier hands and a calmer pulse. Notice how trust shifts the body. When the mind can count on something beyond immediate flux, shoulders drop a fraction. The nervous system relaxes. The parasympathetic system can begin its work. That biological shift is the very ground of renewal. Spirit and body meet quietly here. The ancient truth that Christ remains the same becomes a practical resource for a tired flesh. There is also a restorative imagination available. Picture a calendar with many pages. Each day looks different. The steady presence is like a binding that keeps all the pages together. The book does not change its covers every morning. The binding holds. That holding enables movement within the book. Pages can be bent and turned without the book unmaking itself. The mind rests into that structural metaphor. It stops treating change as a personal failure and sees it as the content moving within a held whole. If the night brings questions about past failures or future fears, offer them a small seat in the room. Let them sit without arguing. Bring the focus back to the steady line. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever. Let that sentence be a quiet boundary against frantic thought. Boundaries are restful because they stop thought from spilling everywhere. Rest becomes an act of stewardship rather than avoidance. Renewal sometimes shows up in subtle tastes. Tea tastes more full. A laugh slips out at an easier angle. Eyes close sooner. Hands find a small act of care folding a blanket, setting a cup down with less clatter. These small returns of ease are signs that the steady center is doing its work. They are not proof of perfection. They are proof of movement toward wholeness. An inviting practice to receive this unchanging comfort is to create a tiny altar of sorts. On a bedside table, place the Bible, a smooth stone, and a small lamp. The stone holds a single worry. The Bible holds the promise. The lamp keeps the posture of attention gentle. Each night, touch the stone, say the verse softly, and lay the stone down beside the book. The ritual trains hands to let go. It trains the mind to expect a resting point. Ritual is not performative. It is a map for the nervous system. The unchanging nature also frees action. Knowing a steady presence does not make one passive. Instead, It enables wiser motion when the heart knows it is not the sole keeper of tomorrow. Choices become less desperate. A small kindness can be given without stakes of entire salvation. A kindly no can be spoken without a collapse of the world. That freedom is energizing. It replaces frantic intensity with a calm willingness to try again. If weariness is chronic, the promise remains steady across seasons. The same presence that steadied a night train is present in a long winter of care, in a slow recovery, in the quiet growth after months of hard labor. Time does not exhaust the unchanging nature. That long view itself renews strength because it keeps the person from exhausting energy in proving worth nightly. The long steadiness invites pacing as the night winds down. Bring the hands to rest. Breathe 3 slow cycles with the verse held softly inside. Inhale and think of the phrase as a gentle light. Hold and rest in its steady brightness. Exhale and let the body accept the presence as it is. Repeat this thrice. Let the lungs learn the rhythm of return. I close the page with care. The lamp keeps aglow for a moment more. The promise that Christ is the same anchors the room. It does not make the night vanish. It changes the way the night is held. The holding brings renewed courage to rise again, to take small steps, to lay down burdens and sleep with a measure of trust. Before the lamp is eased down, name one small hope for tomorrow. Keep it simple. A short walk, a warm cup, a kind moment. Place that hope lightly beside the Bible. Let the unchanging presence keep both the hope and the heart. Rest into the steady fact that something reliable watches without rushing. Now, with a long, quiet breath, close the book and let the room hold the stillness. The hand lingers on the cover, then releases. The lamp lowers. The night keeps its slow rhythm. Sleep may come. If it does not, remain with the breath and the image of steady light. The comfort of the unchanging nature is a slow source. It renews strength in small, quiet ways. Good night for this hour. The lamp is low. The page warms beneath my palm. A slow hush lives in the room. I open the Bible and let my eyes rest on a familiar passage. I read it quietly, letting the words come soft. Do not be anxious about anything. In every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests. The peace that passes human understanding will guard your heart and your mind. I say the lines slowly. I do not rush. Each phrase arrives like a step across a quiet floor. The command that says, "Do not be anxious," does not scold. It hands a small practice. The practice is gentle and concrete. It fits into the palm. Worries collect. They are like small items that gather in a coat pocket. They press against the ribs. They make walking awkward. Tonight we make a small plan to empty those pockets. The plan is simple and humble. It begins with seeing the things that pull at the chest. First, name 3 worries. Make them brief. A single word will do. Health, work, a relationship. Say the words inwardly. Do not explain them. Do not argue their size. Just name them and let the naming give them shape. A worry named is a thing that can be given a place. Second, add 3 small things to be thankful for. They do not have to be grand. A cup of warm tea, a short conversation, a kid share. Thankfulness is not magic, but it changes the angle of attention. It softens the edges of worry by letting light fall on other parts of the day. Now imagine a small basket at the edge of the bed. It is woven plain and strong. I place each named worry gently into the basket. I do not toss or hide them. I lay them down. Each one has a label of the single word I named. The action is deliberate and calm. The basket will not vanish the worries. It will only hold them so my hands can be free. Next, I take the gratitude notes and fold them small. I place them on top of the worries. The fold is a kind covering. Thanksgiving sits over petition like a lid that keeps the items safe. This arrangement is not a clever trick. It is a small, faithful posture. It says, "Here are my needs. Here is my thanks." Both belong together. I invite a short breathing rhythm. Inhale for 4. Hold for 2. Exhale for 6. Let the breath set a steady tempo. The out-breath is a little longer than the in. That small difference invites release with each exhale. Imagine a lightness entering the arms. With each inhale, feel the basket settle into place. Prayer grows out of this practice. Prayer here means turning toward the presence that hears. It is brief and honest. Name the worries. Offer the thanks. Ask for help in simple words. There is no need for high language. A single sentence is enough. Here is what weighs me. Hold it with me. The act of presenting is itself a kind of trust. I keep my sentences short now. The room listens best to small phrases. The prayer does not pull the mind into argument. It opens a hand. The heart is not required to prove anything. It simply places the items into the basket and gives them to a watching presence. After the presentation, I imagine a quiet gate closing softly around the basket. The gate is a gentle guard. It does not lock out memory or refuse return. It simply keeps the worries from taking the bed. The peace described in the passage works like that gate. It does not banish feeling. It stands watch. It attends the heart and mind with steady care. Feel the idea of guarding more than erasing. A guard can watch without tightening. It can be kind and alert. Let that image be soft. Picture a small lantern hung above the gate. It throws a mild circle of light. The worries remain visible. They are held. They do not press on sleep now. I give a simple practice for the hands. Keep a small card by the lamp. On one side, list the worries in brief words. On the other side, write the 3 small things you are thankful for. Fold the card and place it beneath the Bible. The Bible becomes a shelter over the list. When the mind returns to worry in the night, the hands can reach for the card. The act of touching it is a way to repeat the prayer without busyness. There is a rhythm that helps the mind accept this handing over. Repeat the verse slowly 3 times. The first time, hear the words. The second time, let them sink into the chest. The third time, breathe with them. Repetition makes a small path in the nervous system. The mind learns to come back to the gate and the lantern instead of wandering into late-night rehearsal. If the mind balks at the idea of release, notice the resistance without shame. Resistance is a thing with its own shape. Name it briefly: fear of losing control, fear of forgetting a task. Place that fear into the basket as well. The basket is wide enough. It does not demand judgment. It only asks for an honest laying down. I tell a small memory to make the practice concrete. Once, on a night that felt too full, I wrote a short list on an index card. The list was modest: 3 worries, 2 thanks. I tucked the card inside the Bible and closed the cover. The physical act of closing the book felt like a clasp. Sleep came more easily that night, not because the problems vanished, but because the hands had been given a small ritual for handing them over. Thanksgiving matters. The passage asks for petition with thanksgiving. Gratitude opens a different kind of door. It does not deny pain. It does not pretend the trouble is small. Instead, it creates a space where relief can enter. The sound of thanks is a small bell that rings attention away from relentless replay. It is a gentle correction. Now a short breathing and naming exercise for the cheek and the jaw. Place a fingertip lightly on the jaw. Notice any tightness. Breathe slowly in for 4. Hold. Exhale for 6. And imagine the tightness softening. Say one short phrase inside: thank you. Then say one short phrase: I need help. Repeat twice. The contrast of thanks and request teaches the body a new cadence. Let me say again that this handing over is not a failing. It is an act of courage. To name worry and to ask for help is strength, not weakness. The practice is not about making oneself small. It is about admitting limits and inviting a steady presence to assist. The night is not a place for proving endurance. It is a place for receiving care. Picture the peace as a soft guard sitting at the doorway of sleep. It is steady and kind. It watches the mind as it wanders. It returns each stray thought to a calm place. The peace does not come with loud promises. It arrives like a companion who hums near the ear and keeps step with the heartbeat. That hum is enough to soothe a restless night. If guilt or replaying thoughts return, use the basket again. Take the thought, name it, and put it gently down. Do not follow the thought into an argument. Return to the breath. Return to the small card and the folded list under the Bible. If tears come, let them. If a quiet laugh comes, lead it. All of this is part of the practice. There is a practical way to anchor the habit for future nights. Keep a small jar at the bedside. Each evening write one worry and one small thing you are thankful for. Fold both notes and drop them into the jar. Over time, the jar becomes a visible record. It shows that worries were offered and that gratitude remained. The jar is not a solution. It is a map of a faithful habit. As I read these lines, I make space for silence. Silence is where the practice settles. In the silence, the peace can do its quiet work. The heart learns to trust the guard at the gate. The mind learns to stop rehearsing scenarios that hunger for midnight hours. The silence becomes a friend that keeps rhythm with the breath. Before I close the page, I invite one last short prayer. It is simple and silent. I name the worries. I name the thanks. I ask for the peace that keeps watch. The prayer takes only a moment. It is enough, if it is honest. Do not strive for eloquence. The presence listens to plain speech. Now, 3 slow breaths together. Inhale for 4. Hold for 2. Exhale for 6. With each exhale, imagine the gate settling softly. With each inhale, feel the lantern's light. Steady the mind. Let the breath be a bridge between worry and rest. I fold the card and place it beneath the Bible. My thumb rests on the cover. The lamp glows a bit gentler. The room breathes with a new calm. The peace that guards the heart and mind is offered as an available thing, not a distant idea. It sits like a quiet watchman at the border of sleep. If sleep comes, welcome it. If wakefulness remains, keep the hand on the Bible and breathe. The practice can be repeated as often as needed. Each repetition teaches the nervous system a new pattern. Each small letting go becomes a habit that softens the night. I close the book with care. The lamp keeps a tender circle of light for a few breaths more. The basket, the card, the jar, these small images will wait until the next time. The guard at the gate continues its watch. Rest into the gift given here. Let the heart lay down what it must. Let thanksgiving cover the request. Let the peace take its place and keep watch over the night. Good night for this hour. I welcome you back into this quiet hour. The lamp is low. The Bible rests where my thumb can find its place. Tonight a single verse sits in my hands. I read it slowly and let the words fall into the room. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Remain in my love. The line is simple. It is also a calm invitation. I do not try to unpack every meaning. I only hold the image of love that stays. The kind of love here is gentle. It does not shout. It tends. It guides with a soft hand more often than a firm command. Imagine a warm hand laid across a shoulder. Imagine the hand staying there while the heart catches its breath. That is the tone I want to keep for the evening. Settle your body. Choose a place that feels safe. A chair that supports you. A bed with familiar sheets. A small shawl if that comforts. Let the shoulders uncurl. Let the jaw soften. Place a hand lightly over the heart. Feel the rise and fall under the palm. Breathe slow. Inhale calm. Hold a beat. Exhale and release. The breath meets the words I just read and turns them into a living point of rest. Remaining in love is not a single action. It is a way of moving through the day. It is a choice that is lived in small moments. Imagine a vine on a trellis. The vine does not lunge for the sun all at once. It leans into support. It follows the light. The branch grows because it stays connected. So the heart grows when it stays connected to a steady, gentle présence. The metaphor is quiet. It asks for patience rather than urgency. Tonight I offer a small practice to help that staying feel real. Bring attention to the space between the collarbones. Rest a fingertip there. Breathe toward the spot. On the in-breath, imagine a soft warmth entering the chest. On the out-breath, imagine that warmth settling like a small shawl across the ribs. Repeat 5 times. Each breath is a small pledge to remain. No grand promises are required. The breath is the promise. Love that remains is patient with weakness. It does not scold the tired. It does not require a better version of you before it stays. If shame or fatigue sits near, do not move it away by force. Invite it gently into the same room as love. Picture the two sitting across from each other. One does not erase the other. Love simply stays. The presence of that staying softens the edges of shame. It does not make hard things disappear, but it changes how they are held. Think of a small child resting against a parent's chest. The child is not asked to explain. The chest provides an even rhythm that names safety. The child breathes with that rhythm and learns, slowly, how to trust it. This is not a demanding image. It simply points to the ordinary way gentleness teaches trust by keeping time, by being steady, by staying close without judgment. If a memory surfaces that feels sharp, do not be alarmed. Let it come as a guest. Greet it kindly and offer it a seat. Watch how the gentle presence shapes the scene. The memory does not need to be fought. It needs to be seen and received. Imagine an old photograph spread on a table beneath soft light. You can look at it. You can turn the page. The gentle love that remains does not tear the photograph. It frames it kindly. There is a practical habit that helps the mind stay connected during the day. Choose one small cue, a mug, a ring, a plant by the window. When your eyes meet that cue, pause a long breath. Say inwardly, I remain here. Let the phrase be brief. Let it be a soft corridor back to calm. Over time, the cue becomes a quiet anchor. It is not an obligation. It is a way to remember the steady presence without carrying heavy tasks. Gentleness often shows in the way anger is handled. It does not deny feeling. It names it briefly and then uses the feeling as a guide rather than a whip. When heat rises, place a hand to the sternum. Breathe slowly. Imagine the heat cooling like a stone set by a stream. The stone does not need to vanish. Its edges soften with water. This softening is part of the way love remains, by allowing things to lose their sharpness through patient watching. If the nights are long with worry, remember the word remain. Remaining does not equal being complacent. It means choosing a place of trust to return to while the mind sorts through trouble. Trusting does not remove responsibility. It changes its shape. Action can still be taken in the morning. For now, the heart rests in a gentle harbor. The harbor does not promise immediate solutions. It offers a place where the body can rest enough to think clearly tomorrow. There is comfort in small rituals. Before sleep, fold a short sentence on a scrap of paper. It can be the verse itself, or a phrase like remain in love. Tuck it under the Bible. The act of folding is an outward sign of inward surrender. It is not a magic formula. It is a practical handling of thought. When the mind climbs at night, the hand can reach for the paper and read the phrase as a soft bell. The repetition calms by making the mind move in a familiar pattern. Love that remains is also generous in how it sees the day. It notices small mercies. A neighbor's smile, a warm cup, the soft shade of a tree. Keep one small list of these soft mercies in mind. They do not have to be big. Tiny kindnesses are the stitches that mend a weary coat. Naming them aloud in the quiet can shift attention away from endless demands. The shift is restful. It is practical. Tonight, I invite a gentle imagining. Picture a shoreline at dusk. The water laps quietly against the sand. Each wave does not resent the last. It comes and goes. The shoreline remains. The sea's motion is constant, but the shore keeps its place. In the same way, love that remains is a steady border where the heart can set down the tide of emotion. Emotions wash in. They wash out. The presence that loves does not move with every swell. It offers a border that catches what drifts in and holds it softly till morning. If pity or harsh judgment rises in the mind toward yourself or another, take one breath and name the feeling pity. Judgment. Hold it in the open palm of your attention. Then imagine a warm, uncritical hand covering it. Kindness is not a dismissal. It is an alternative posture. It recognizes brokenness and responds with repair rather than ridicule. That posture is the gentle work of remaining. There is also a quiet power in staying connected to simple rhythms, mealtime, sleep time, prayer time. These small structures become places where love can reside. They are not legal demands. They are visible ways for the heart to return. They anchor the day in kind acts that do not require perfect performance. The body likes rhythms. The soul follows. Before I close this part, breathe with me once more. Place both hands over the chest. Feel the slow rise and the even fall. Inhale calm. Hold a single beat. Exhale and let the shoulders come down. With each breath, imagine the phrase, "Remain in my love," as a soft tide washing inward. Let it move slowly across the ribs and settle at the center. Keep the sentence short and simple. Let it be a pulse in the room. If sleep comes easily, let it gather the calm. If wakefulness remains, let the hands rest and the breath keep its steady pace. The gentle presence that loves remains. It does not demand the night to be different. It simply keeps company with what is and gently guides what will be. Mercy attends the small places. Hope waits in the soft corners. I close this passage with a quiet intention. May the heart find a place to remain tonight. May the soft love that keeps watch guide the breath and steady the mind. In the morning, small strength will return. For now, rest with the thought that you are tended by a love that stays. The next part will speak about the comfort of that compassion, the warmth that leans in closer and listens without hurry. For this moment, breathe, remain, and be held. Good night for this hour. The lamp is low. The Bible lies open where my thumb finds the thin fold of the page. I let the words rest on the room before I say them. The verse comes soft and slow tonight. As a father has compassion on his children, so the Lord has compassion on those who fear him. The line settles like a warm hand. I read it twice, not louder than a whisper. The sound becomes a small place to return to. The thought is simple. Compassion, like a parent's, is close and practical. It bends toward the place that hurts. It keeps watch until sleep comes. Think of a child who wakes in the night. A small sound. A dream that tastes of shadow. A parent rises without fuss. The motion is quick and ordinary. A hand finds a forehead. A shawl is draped. A voice says a name, and the name finds its steadiness again. The action is not grand. It is every small thing done with care. That is the picture to hold. Place one hand over the heart and let the other rest on the belly. Breathe slowly. Inhale for 4. Hold for a soft beat. Exhale for 6. With each out-breath, imagine a gentle palm settling on the chest. Picture the palm warming the place where worry gathers. This is not a trick. It is an invitation to feel tended. There is a memory I return to in thin nights. A blanket tucked under a chin. A flashlight left on low so the dark does not feel empty. A small story told in a soft voice about a day's small mercy. The sound is steady and human. It reminds the mind that attention can be a kind of shelter. The memory is not a demand for perfection. It is a map to an ordinary tenderness. Compassion, like a parent's, has certain shapes. It notices. It remembers names. It comes without scoring mistakes. It steadies the hands that tremble. Imagine a slow kitchen where a warm cup is set before tired fingers. The steam carries the hint of a safe harbor. The gesture says you are seen. That kind of seeing is the heart of mercy. If a face of loss comes to mind, do not push it away. Invite it gently to sit by the lamp. Look at the edges. Let the warm light show what needs attention. A parent's compassion sees both the bruise and the person who bears it. It does not minimize pain. It makes room for it and offers a hand. A small practice may help you receive this. Take a token from the bedside table. A smooth pebble. A ring. A folded note. Anything that rests easily in the palm. Name one small thing that aches tonight. It may be fear, exhaustion, a broken trust, or a longing. Give the name to the token. Hold it briefly. Then imagine placing the token into a parent's open palm. See the palm steady the object and hold it for you. The act is simple. The imagination is a faithful tool. It trains the heart to accept care. Compassion also looks like correction that keeps dignity. A parent may say no and still hold close. The tone is not always indulgent. Sometimes it sets a boundary that a child cannot see for their own good. That kind of firmness is tender when done in love. Compassion protects rather than punishes. It guides rather than shames. If anger springs up at memories, do not make it a judge. Allow the feeling to be noticed. Place it on the table of attention. Breathe toward it. Say nothing loud. Let the small hand of compassion sit beside the anger. Watch how the heat lessens when it is watched, without being fed by a harsh voice. There is a habitual voice that sometimes runs in the head at night. It lists faults. It replays old hurts. A parent's compassion interrupts that habit differently than argument does. It sings a different tune. The tune is quiet. It says you are cared for even now. Repeat that phrase inwardly, not because it is clever, because repeated kindness becomes a new habit store for the heart. Think of a lamp set on a low table in a room full of small things. The lamp does not make the room perfect. It simply shows it honestly without panic. Compassion is that honest light. It looks at what is present and moves into the work of repair in small measures. A bowl of soup, a note left on a pillow, a hand that lingers a moment longer. These acts are the language of mercy that heals slowly. If a childlike fear returns, the fear of being alone, name the fear softly. Speak a single sentence inside. I am not alone. Imagine a generous hand resting lightly on the back of the neck. Feel the weight as a reassurance. The image does not force trust. It invites it. The body often believes images it can see with the mind. Forgiveness lives in the same room as compassion. A parent forgives not to erase wrongdoing, but to restore relationship. The act of forgiveness is a steadying. It is a step back to ordinary rhythms. If there is a need to forgive tonight, place that small burden on the token and hand it into the imagined palm. If there is a need to receive forgiveness for a hurt caused, imagine a gentle voice that does not heap guilt and instead offers a way to amend. Small steps are enough. Compassion also brings security. Security is not the absence of difficulty. It is the confidence that someone keeps watch. Picture a child sheltered in a lap while the rain paces the roof. The storm still roars. The child sleeps. The lap holds. Security like that is a gift to rest in. Let that image be a refuge for a while. When the mind wants to fix everything before sleep, resist the urgency a little. The night often tests the inclination to control. A parent's care gives permission to wait. It says for now, let the hands be still. The work will have a morning. Rest is part of the work. Allow the pause. If tears come, allow them. They are not failure. They are small rivers that empty the chest of sharp pieces. A parent's compassion does not hurry tears. It holds them with a tissue and quiet breath. That tender container is enough. There is a short, practical ritual to lay down worry tonight. Write one small phrase on a scrap of paper. A single line will do. Tired, lonely, afraid. Fold it and place it beneath the Bible. Lightly, rest a finger on the fold for a breath. Offer the worry to the presence that will watch. Close your eyes. Breathe in, breathe out. The act makes the hand free and gives the mind a place to return to. Mercy here also means remembering that care often arrives in human touch. If a hand can be found on a partner's shoulder, a child's small palm, a friend's brief visit, receive it. If touch is not possible, imagine it. The imagination trains the body. The mind learns to accept kindness that is not contingent on one's merits. A quiet thought for the morning compassion reshapes small choices. When weariness meets the day again, try a brief pact, one small kindness for the self before responding to others. A warm drink, a slow stretch, a few words of thanks. These small measures are not indulgence. They are ways the heart learns to be tended regularly. Before this part closes, a short breathing pattern to carry the image inward. Breathe in for 4. Hold one gentle beat. Breathe out for 7. imagining a warm hand across the chest. Repeat 3 times. With each cycle, notice the shoulders drop a hair. Notice the jaw ease. Notice how the lamp's light steadies the small details on the bedside table. I set the verse again where the page rests. As a father has compassion on his children, so the Lord has compassion on those who fear him. Let the sentence sit like a lullaby. Let the image of a hand that watches for you hold the night for a while. When ready, let the eyes soften or close. Keep a light within reach. Keep the token by the bedside if it helps. Allow the compassion you have imagined to be a steady companion. It does not fix everything at once. It does not promise a painless morning. It simply holds. In that holding, rest grows possible. The next part of the reading will ask how to cling to faith when trials come. For now, remain in the gentle company of compassion. Breathe with the steady hand at your chest. Let mercy watch the hour. Sleep, if it comes, under that small, unhurried care. Good night for this moment. The lamp pools its glow on the page. My thumb rests on the thin edge. Tonight I turn toward a hard and hopeful line. I read it slowly. Trials come as chances to grow. Perseverance is the small fruit of endurance. The verse lands without flourish. It asks for a steadying of the heart. I do not pretend trials are pleasant. They press like a long winter. They wear at patience. They shrink the sense of control. Yet the sentence asks me to watch the work that pain does inside me. It asks me to notice what grows when I choose to keep breathing. I remember a season that felt long and narrow. The work I had counted on faltered. Bills stacked like thin books on a table. A friend bent under illness. Nights became small and busy with worry. Each morning, the list seemed heavier than the day before. The chest learned a new tightness. The mind tightened into rehearsals of what might go wrong. At first, the instinct is to fix the problem by force. I make plans. I make calls. I pace the house with a checklist. That energy helps a little. It also burns itself out like a candle flaring in wind. I begin to notice how weariness eats decisions. The edges of kindness fray. The voice grows thin. The body wants rest I cannot give. One night, I open the Bible because the hands are tired of their own solutions. The lamp is low. The page is warm. I read the line again and let it sit. Consider it pure joy. The verse says, when facing trials, the thought does something strange. It does not make the hardship vanish. It asks me to look for a different shape inside the trial. I try on the idea as a practice. I do not pretend to feel joy as if I were cheerful. Instead, I look for small lessons in the hard moments. When a call from the clinic makes the heart race, I notice the way patience can be practiced in the pause before speaking. When the electricity flickers and a bill feels like a storm at the door, I watch how generosity tightens and loosens in the chest. The trial becomes a place to test the muscles of endurance. This is not heroic. It is ordinary and slow. It is the daily choice to lower the shoulders a fraction and keep the hands open. Perseverance looks like showing up again to the small tasks that need doing. It looks like going to bed even when solutions are not ready. It looks like sitting with someone who is hurting and listening without trying to fix everything. A memory comes to me of a morning when the list felt too long. I make tea and set out a smooth stone. I call it a lesson stone. It is not magical. It is simply an object that marks the work I wish to do. I place it on the table and name one difficult thing aloud in my head. There is no drama in the naming. The act gives shape to worry. It makes the worry a thing I can hold and then set down. Then I breathe. In for 4, hold a beat. Out for 6. Repeat. With each exhale, I imagine the stone absorbing some of the frantic energy. The breath turns a scattered mind into a steady one. The stone is there as a reminder I face this. But I do not let it own me. I can do the small things and trust the rest to come in time. Perseverance. I learn. Is not a single heroic climb. It is many small steps. It is getting up when fatigue pulls down. It is answering one more email when the fingers want to curl shut. It is making a warm meal for someone who cannot do it themselves. These small acts build strength. They do not erase the trial. They change the heart inside it. The work of endurance is patient and humble. I find another habit that helps. I keep a short line of scripture near the lamp. At first I read it aloud slowly. Then I let it become a rhythm I breathe with. The repetition is not a spell. It is a way to train the mind to return to a steady point when panic knocks at the door. The verse becomes a hinge. When the day feels harsh, I touch the paper and let the breath follow the words. Community matters too. There are nights when self-reliance tightens like a coat. Pride says ask no one. But endurance often grows because someone else sits across the room and keeps company. A friend bringing bread, a neighbor watering a plant, a brief message that says, I am thinking of you. These small kindnesses are like steady rain for a parched plot. They do not solve everything, but they make the soil possible again. There is a season where I learn to let the slow work of perseverance include asking for help. Asking feels risky. It shines a light on needs I rather keep tucked away. Yet the act of asking loosens the weight in the chest. It is an honest step that names the limits of one pair of hands. The response is often modest and practical. Someone drops by. Someone listens. The world proves more tender than fear had predicted. Trials polish patience in another way. They reveal what is fragile and what holds. In the hard days, I find small certainties. A wooden chair that supports. The steady beat of a friend's presence. The ritual of the Bible at night. These small reliables become anchors. They do not banish the trial. They let me move inside it without losing balance. I tell myself that perseverance is not the same as stubbornness. Stubbornness fights until the self is empty. Perseverance rests and tries again. It is grace with a steady pace. When the mind wants to race toward solutions, I give it a different work, a single small task. Done well. Wash a cup, fold a towel, write one sentence in a letter. These small completions give the nervous system tiny victories. They accumulate into endurance. There are nights when anger rises like a sudden wind. The instinct is to replay hurts or to blame. I do not feed that wind. I watch it as weather. I breathe. Inhale, calm. Hold. Exhale, release. I name the feeling for a moment, and then let it settle. Naming does not justify anger. It simply prevents it from being a secret current that erodes trust over time. Perseverance also needs mercy for itself. I am not a machine. I tire. I forget to be kind to myself. So I practice short mercies, a small sentence of acceptance, a soft hand on the chest, a permission to rest for a time. These tiny mercies do not remove responsibility. They make the person who bears the responsibility more able to carry it without breaking. Hope becomes a quiet companion in this work. It is not dramatic optimism. It is a steady expectation that small things add up. Hope in trials means expecting that. Over time, the repeated faithful acts will change the heart's shape. It asks for patience. With the pace, the future may not be what I imagined, yet something within me learns and grows through the fidelity of small acts. I practice a short exercise that brings the idea into the body. Find one small stone, or imagine one in the palm. Hold it, and name one part of the trial you can face tomorrow. Give the stone a short tag. Keep the tag small. Fold the day into that one action. Set the stone down in view. Each morning pick it up. Breathe with it. And let the practice be simple and steady. The stone does the work of reminding. The body learns to expect one gentle act rather than a desperate overhaul. There is a strange joy that appears after many small acts of endurance. It is not the shallow thrill of relief. It is a quiet gratitude for the lessons learned. I begin to see threads in the hard pattern. I see patience where I once had sharpness. I see more grace in the way I speak to others. I see less need to prove myself every night. These changes feel like new chapters I did not expect to write. The story of the season is not linear. Setbacks happen. A fresh worry circles back. A sleepless night undoes some of the calm. When that happens, I return to the small practices. A breath, a stone, a short prayer, a neighbor's voice. I do not measure failure by a single evening. I measure the movement over time. Perseverance is a thread that weaves through many nights and days. In the quiet of the lamp, I practice a short closing ritual. Place a hand over the heart. Breathe slow. In for 4. Hold. Out for 6. Name one way you practiced endurance today. However small, say the name inwardly and place it on a small scrap of paper. Fold it and tuck it under the Bible. The act is modest. It is a record of faithfulness rather than a demand for proof. This ritual helps me rest. It reminds me that the work of trials has a form. It is not aimless worry. It is a disciplined turn towards small acts of trust. It is a long apprenticeship in patience. It is a quiet learning that the heart changes by steady, repeated kindness toward others and toward self. As the night winds towards sleep, I do not promise a sudden end to trouble. I promise a companion rhythm. The breath, the stone, the small acts, these keep a steady line through the hard hours. I will read on in the morning, sit with the lamp a little longer when needed, and return to the small practices that build endurance. Before the light goes lower, I turn the thought toward the next quiet step. if trials teach perseverance, then where do I place my trust while I persevere? How do I let go of the need to control every outcome? I fold the page gently and let the question stay like a soft ember. The next passage will guide toward that rest of trust. Proverbs will offer a gentle answer about leaning not on my own understanding and trusting a steady guidance. For now, breathe with the lamp one last time. Inhale, come. Hold. Exhale and release. Place the small folded note under the Bible. Let the stone rest in its bowl. Sleep, if it comes, gathers what has been set down tonight. If wakefulness lingers, keep the breath and the small rituals. Tomorrow we will learn how to rest, assured in guidance, and we will carry this lesson of endurance into that trust. Good night for this hour. The lamp rests low. The Bible opens warm beneath my hand. I breathe with the room and let the quiet settle. Tonight a short line sits at the page. I read it slowly and let each phrase land. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not rely on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your paths straight. The sentence is plain. It is also an invitation. It asks for a posture rather than a performance. It asks for a gentle yielding. The tone is calm. The voice is simple. I do not force a deep explanation. I keep the words near the chest. Trust is not a sudden leap. It is a small turning. It looks like loosening the grip on the steering wheel of a car after long, anxious driving. The hands relax enough to rest. They do not let go of responsibility. They only allow a steadier hand to guide. I tell a small memory to hold the idea. Once, on a narrow road at dusk, the map in the phone blurred. The sky lowered. The road fogged. A decision felt heavy, as if every wrong turn mattered forever. A passenger offered a quiet suggestion. It was not a dramatic revelation. It was the steady knowledge that someone else had seen the road before. The choice to listen lessened. The tightness in the shoulders. The driving became easier. That simple scene is what trust often looks like in life, a willingness to receive direction when my own view narrows. Place a hand on the chest and breathe. Feel the breath move like a slow tide. Inhale for 4. Hold a soft beat. Exhale for 6. Each out-breath is a small release. Each in-breath is a tiny act of faith. The body learns the language of surrender through these breaths. To trust with all the heart means to bring the whole of a person into one act of turning. It includes the parts that hesitate. It includes the parts that demand proof. It includes the small, stubborn corners that prefer to plan alone. The practice is patient. It is not sudden obedience. It is a series of quiet choices. Do not lean on your own. Understanding is a kind correction. Understanding is helpful. It is a tool. At night, though, the mind makes tall tales. It imagines outcomes. Reassurance. Lists what might go wrong. The heart grows weary of arguing with itself. Instead of trying to out-argue the fear, the instruction invites a different move. It asks for a handing over of the task of deciding every dark possibility. That handing over is not a denial of responsibility. It is a refusal to be the sole keeper of tomorrow. I use an image that settles easily. Imagine a compass on a kitchen table. The needle rests and points steadily. Plans and maps may scatter across the table. The compass need not know every detail. It only keeps the direction. Trust is like choosing to orient by the needle rather than by the shifting stacks of paper. The choice makes steps more sure. A small practice can make this turning bodily. Take an imagined steering wheel in the hands. Picture tension in the fingers. Breathe in and imagine the fingers loosening. Breathe out and imagine a steady hand resting in the center. With each breath, the grip eases a fraction. Hold the picture for 3 cycles. Let the mind feel the small space opened by a hand that trusts another to guide. Acknowledging God in all ways is the daily companion to trust. It is not an ornate ritual. It is a simple habit. Before making a decision, pause and whisper a single sentence, inwardly show me the next step. Let the phrase be short. Keep the posture small. The pause trains the mind away from frantic immediacy and toward quiet attention. Decisions remain necessary. The pause only widens the field where help can appear. Yielding to God's direction does not always feel like a visible sign. Often it comes as a quiet pull toward a choice that is kinder, slower, or more cautious. It might be a refusal of a harsh word. It might be the patience to make one phone call in the morning instead of all at night. Yielding is a stewardship. It keeps the heart from being worn down by trying to be the only architect of every outcome. When anxiety circles, name it briefly. Do not inflate it with a long story. Say one short word and place it gently on the lap. Then, in the mind, hand the word over. Picture it resting in 2 hands that are steady and familiar. The image is not magic. It is a practice that frees the hands to do other, simpler things, to fold a blanket, to set out a cup, to breathe. Trust sometimes looks like patience, with not knowing. The night often asks for immediate answers. The world presses for decision. The voice within can feel like a judge. Choosing patience means accepting that some paths will reveal themselves slowly. It is giving the day a measure of time so that small light can appear. That small light often comes through ordinary kindness, through friends, through a sense that the next step is bearable. Part of yielding is honoring limits. Boundaries are not the opposite of trust. They are its companion. A steady hand can apply a fence where needed. If a route would lead into harm, trust that refuses the twist is also a faithful yielding. Trust does not mean returning to danger. It means walking where the path is safe enough and asking for guidance about the harder places. Let me suggest a night habit that keeps the heart oriented. Keep a small card by the lamp. On it, write one short question for the morning. What step matters next? Fold the card and place it beneath the Bible. The simple act makes room for the mind to rest tonight, while promising a small, focused task for daylight. The card is not a solution. It is a promise that decisions can wait until the morning, when eyes are clearer and hands are steadier. Trust also grows quietly through regular acts of gratitude. When the mind keeps rehearsing lack, name one small mercy: a neighbor's help, a warm meal, a moment of laughter. Let that one small mercy be a soft anchor. Gratitude does not fix the whole list of needs. It keeps the heart from dying by inches. It is a practice of recognition that widens the view beyond the narrow tunnel of worry. I do not pretend the path is always obvious. Sometimes direction appears as a soft no, not as a grand yes. Sometimes the straightening of paths is a slow realignment rather than a bright arrow. The promise that the Lord will make paths straight does not guarantee an absence of curves. It means that the path will be tended, and that the heart walking it will find a measure of steadiness. If fear is our faces lake, return to the breath and the compass image. Lay a hand on the chest. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out. Repeat the phrase, I will trust and not lean alone. Let the words be a soft bridge. The voice need not be loud. The rhythm is what matters. A steady repetition trains the heart. There is an ease in yielding when I remember small stories of guidance. A friend who sat quietly beside a decision. A stranger who pointed a helpful direction. A morning when a small choice changed the course of a day. These tiny stories build confidence. They remind the mind that help often arrives in ordinary forms. Yielding is also a practice of rest. To hand over the need to control is to make room for sleep. The night becomes less a battleground and more a place of readiness. Sleep repairs. Sleep aligns the eyes to see the next step clearer. When the hands are not clenched around every worry, the body receives rest more fully. Choosing trust is a kindness to the body as much as to the soul. Before I close this part, a gentle exercise to carry the idea into the night. Breathe in for 4. Hold a soft beat. Breathe out for 6. On the in-breath, say silently, show me. On the out-breath, place the worry in imagined hands. Repeat 5 times. Let the rhythm wrap around the thought. The practice is small. It changes the habit of carrying everything alone. I fold the page and let the verse sit beneath my thumb. The lamp glows a little softer. The room breathes with the slow rhythm that trust invites. Yielding to guidance is not a one-time act. It becomes a way of life. It changes the shape of small decisions and lowers the load at night. When sleep comes, let it be received as part of the trust. If wakefulness lingers, keep the breath and the small card near the lamp. The next passage will bring another word of comfort. For now, rest with a hand opened in trust and a heart willing to be guided. Good night for this hour. Part 14. The lamp keeps a soft circle. I read slowly and let the words settle. Tonight, the thought is simple and deep. God's peace is unlike the peace the world offers. The world calms by fixing a thing. It quiets by changing a circumstance. That peace is useful sometimes. It depends on results and timing. It can leave the chest hollow again when the change is temporary. The peace I speak of is steadier. It does not arrive only after everything is put right. It comes into the room first. It comes into the heart while the trouble still sits at the table. It is like a quiet tide that slips under the shore and lifts the sand a little. The tide does not remove the rocks. It simply makes walking easier. I hold the Bible on my lap and read a line that feels like a hand. I read the words slowly and let silence follow them. The sentence acts like a soft gate. It keeps the rush of thought from flooding the room. That gate is not a trick. It is an invitation to trust a presence that watches without panic. You might picture two kinds of calm. Picture a city street at dawn after a storm. People sweep the debris. The street looks neat. The calm is tidy and earned. Now picture a small harbor at dusk. Boats rock gently. The water keeps a patient motion. The harbor does not deny the storm. It offers a place that already knows how to hold the wake. The difference matters. One calm is earned each time by effort. The other calm is a quality of the place itself. It is what I mean by divine peace. This peace touches both heart and mind. It steadies feelings and clears the clutter of thought. The heart relaxes first, like a muscle letting go. After that, the mind slows. The loop of rehearsed worries loosens its grip. Sleep can come without guilt about not solving everything first. That permission is a mercy. I give a small practice. Now, it is plain and steady. Breathe in for 4. Hold 1 gentle beat. Breathe out for 6. Do this slowly 3 times. Keep your yav soft. Let the shoulders drop a fraction each exhale. With the last out-breath, imagine a warm, slow light filling the chest. The light is steady. It does not need to prove anything. It simply rests. As I read, I offer this image to carry the night. Imagine a small room with a low burning lamp. In the center of the room sits a chair that fits you. The chair has a soft throw over the back. On the arm rests a shallow bowl. Into that bowl you place one small worry. The worry is not erased. It is simply set in a place that will be watched. The act changes the work. Carrying becomes holding. Holding becomes resting. Once, on a night I remember, the outer world felt loud and unsafe. Plans unraveled, and a long list of things remained unsettled. I lay awake and my shoulders felt like a board. I took a breath and placed the list in my mind on an imagined table. Then I read a verse slowly. The words did not fix the broken plans. They fixed a posture. My chest softened. I could feel sleep come as a guest that had been waiting politely at the door. The presence I trusted did not remove the trouble the next day. It helped me meet the trouble with less panic. That small change made the next day possible. Divine peace often arrives without grand spectacle. It comes as a steadying presence that keeps company. Sometimes it shows in a neighbor's quiet help. Sometimes it appears as a sentence in a worn book. Often, it is simply the fact that breath can find a slower rhythm again. The ordinary ways make it reliable. Reliability matters at night. The promise of this peace is patient. It does not push for immediate healing. It sits with what is real and begins to change how the real is carried. The mind no longer feels like a courtroom replaying arguments. Instead, it becomes a quiet room where each thought can be placed on a shelf and allowed to cool. If a difficult memory returns, do not try to force it away. See it clearly. Name it in one brief word. Place that word into your imagined bowl. Leave the bowl on the chair. Tell yourself that the bowl will be watched. Then breathe again. The watching presence will not shame you for the memory. It will simply hold it with you. I also suggest a small tactile practice. Keep a smooth stone or a wooden bead near the bedside. When the mind grows noisy, reach out and let your fingers trace the object slowly. Feel the texture. Count 3 slow rubs. Each rub is a small permission to return to the present breath. The hands teach the nervous system slowly. The tactile habit anchors the mind back from the runaway thoughts. The peace I read about guards heart and mind. Guarding is not the same as erasing. A guard stands watch, calm and alert. It does not attack the night. It simply sits in a posture that says, I am here. This posture changes the chemistry of the body. The shoulders lower. The pulse finds a softer tempo. Sleep can arrive because the body senses safety. I invite one more short breathing cycle now. Inhale for 4. Hold. Exhale for 8. Letting the out-breath be a little longer. With each out-breath, imagine your chest lying against a wide, steady palm. Feel that steady palm like a quiet rhythm. Let the rhythm slow the thought. Let the rhythm tell the body it is safe to rest. We do not pretend the next day will be perfect. Peace does not promise that trouble will dissolve by morning. It promises a steadier way through the trouble. It gives enough calm for the mind to think and the body to heal. This is not miraculous noise. It is a steady presence that does the patient work of keeping. If you find sleep coming now, lead it, welcome it gently as a friend. Let the lamp dim. Place your hand on the chest, if it comforts you, if sleep does not come. Remain with the breath and the tactile object. Repeat the breathing cycle as many times as you need. The practice is not a test. It is a routine that trains the heart to accept rest. As I close the page tonight, I hold the thought that peace is a guard and a gift. It watches the heart and the mind. It keeps the night from becoming a place of endless rehearsal. It makes space for mercy and for a slow, patient hope. Part 15. I fold the page and rest my hand on the cover. Before we part, I offer a short benediction. I speak softly and simply. I ask for God's peace to move into the room. May that peace be steadier than circumstances. May it settle at the center of the chest. May it guard the mind from restless loops. May it keep a gentle watch over every worry, holding each one with care. Receive this blessing as a gift, not as a demand. Take 3 slow breaths with me. Now, inhale calm, hold, exhale, and release. Inhale mercy, hold, exhale fear. Inhale quiet hope, hold, exhale and rest. May you sleep under a soft shelter of grace. May the morning bring light enough for the first step. May kindness meet you when you rise. Rest now into the peace that is given. Amen. I keep the lamp low. The Bible rests where my thumb can find the bookmark. I breathe with the room. The house is quiet in a way that feels safe. Tonight I will close our time together by reading one short line and by offering a few gentle invitations for sleep. I open the page and let my eyes rest. I read slowly and plainly. I let the words land without rushing. I say aloud a verse that has steadied many nights. I will lie down and sleep in peace. For you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. The sentence settles like a small lantern, held close. I do not unpack the theology. I only hold the image, lying down, sleeping, peace, safety. These are practical things. They are not lofty ideas. They are the shape of a night that can hold a human body and a tender heart. Place your hand where it rests best, over the chest, on the belly. Let the fingers be soft. Notice the weight of the hand. Notice the rise and fall beneath it. Breathe slow. In for 4, Pause. Out for 6. The longer out-breath tells the nervous system that it is safe to let go a little. Imagine a small room inside you. The room has one window and a low lamp. The lamp is warm. It is not harsh. The light shows a simple table. On that table lie a few things you have set down already. A pebble for a regret. A folded note for a worry. A tiny cup that holds a small gratitude. They are not hidden. They are visible and contained. The visibility frees you. Things that are seen are easier to hold than things that are hunted by the mind in the dark. I will guide the mind into that room for a few minutes. Picture the door open. The threshold is low. Walk inside without hurry. Set down anything you still carry in the hands. Feel the floor steady under your feet. Sit in a chair that cradles you. The chair is ordinary, solid. It supports without fuss. In this room, nothing is demanded. Everything is received. Now imagine a hand not yours resting gently on the back of your neck. The hand is calm. It does not press. It keeps a steady presence. If that image comforts, let the hand be there. If not, imagine instead a steady lamp that does not dim. The presence can be a warm hand, a steady lamp, or simply a quiet steadiness that keeps watch. Choose what helps and hold it lightly. If there are thoughts that insist on replaying the day, do a small thing. Name one of the thoughts in a single word. Say that word softly in your mind. Then picture placing it on the table in the room. Let one breath carry it there. Repeat if you must. The act of naming and placing is a small ritual of handing over. It is honest. It is practical. It does not pretend the thought will vanish. It makes room by giving the thought a place to be. I invite a soft prayer with no ornate language. It is a simple handing over. In your mind, say, "This here is what weighs me." Hold it with me tonight. Let the phrase be short. Let it be true. Prayer is not a lecture. It is a turning. It is a small motion that makes space for help to come in ways that you cannot force. Return to the breath. When the mind wanders, let it wander. Notice without judging. Come back to the inhale and the out-breath. Think of each out-breath as a small lowering of a burden. The work is not to empty the chest completely. It is to wake the habit of returning. Each return is a small act of faith. Each return counts. If fear rises in the night, do a brief physical thing. Wiggle the fingers. Relax the jaw. Let the shoulders fall. Name the fear once. Then rest the hands and take 3 long breaths. These tiny bodily cues tell the brain that the body is safe. The brain listens to the body more than it listens to argument. I remind you of a quiet image, a harbor where small boats are tied. The tide still moves. The boats rock. They do not drift away because they are held. This harbor is not a promise that the ocean will never be rough. It is a promise that there is a place to return. Let that harbor be close in your mind tonight. When the waves come, imagine the rope that keeps the boat near the shore. If you can reach for a small object, dosunau, a smooth stone, a ring, a worn coin, hold it between finger and thumb. Feel its texture. Let the object be a kind of anchor. When worry visits, move the fingers and let the object remind you to breathe. The hands teach what the mind sometimes forgets. I am the one who reads these passages to you before sleep. I keep a simple rhythm. I do not preach. I offer presence. The Bible in my lap is a companion for that presence. Its pages have sheltered many tired heads. It does not require that you be perfect. It only asks that you come as you are. If you carry a regret that feels heavy, place it gently into the imagined bowl at the center of the room. Do not fling it away. Set it down as if setting a cup on a table. Then breathe and let the hands be free. The ritual of setting down is a faithful act. It changes how the body holds memory. It loosens old clenches a little. When sleep edges in, follow it without guilt. Sleep is not theft. It is a tool. It is the body's small repair shop. It knits and smooths while the mind rests. If dreams arrive, let them be experiments of the night. If your eyes open, do not scold yourself. Return to the breath. Keep your palms soft. I offer one more short blessing. Hear it as a quiet word, not a performance. May mercy surround the edges of your heart. May hope sit like a small lantern on your bedside table. May kindness meet you in the morning. Receive these as gifts that do not need repayment. In a few more moments, I will close the book. I will lower the lamp by a fraction so the light becomes a tender pool. I will remain in the room for a breath or two more to keep the company steady. If a voice in your head starts to argue, give the voice a seat in the room and do not follow it out of the door. Stay with the lamp. Stay with the breath. If you wake in the middle of the night, use the same small ritual. Breathe. Name. Place. Reach for a small object if that helps. Remember the harbor. Remember the steadiness. Whisper the short sentence you practiced earlier. Here is what weighs me. Hold it for a moment. Then set it down and rest. I will say the verse again softly. As a final anchor, I will not make it loud. I will let it be a closing bell. I will read, I will lie down and sleep in peace. For you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. Hear the line like a cushion under your head. Take 3 slow breaths with me now. Inhale calm. Hold. Exhale and let go. Inhale mercy. Hold. Exhale fear. Inhale get hope. Hold. Exhale and settle. Place your hand over the heart one last time. Feel the steady rise and fall. Feel how the breath keeps a steady rhythm without your doing much work. Let that rhythm be enough. Let the night do its work. Let grace be what tends what is fragile. I close the Bible now with care. The cover falls like a soft-lidded box. The lamp dims another fraction. The house keeps its hush. I stay a moment. Then I ease myself up and take one last look at the room that holds us both. Sleep, when it comes, will be a gift. The morning, when it arrives, will hold a small light for the first step. If questions wait in the day, they will find you steadier for this rest. Mercy watches the small things. Hope waits in plain places. Love keeps its gentle company without hurry. Good night. Rest in the quiet grace that is given. Amen.